Hello, this is Oleg Borisenko and Market Access Insider channel. In our programs, we discuss organization and financing of healthcare services and medical technologies in European countries. Today we're in Milan, Italy, and we're going to talk to Professor Giuseppe Banfi, a renowned expert on health technology assessment in Italy. We're going to discuss the general framework for introduction of medical technologies in Italy, as well as the specifics of health technology assessment landscape in Lombardy region. Hope you will enjoy the program. Professor Banfi, thanks for joining us on this program. Can we start with the general decision-making framework for introduction of novel technologies at national and regional levels in Italy?
HTA in Italy was introduced about 10 years ago, following some European experiences, particularly the Spain or Scotland and Catalonia experience. First, Regione Lombardia introduced a program for HTA in 2006, and also Ministry of Health started a HTA program. Catholic University in Rome was pushing in our country the concept of HTA, thanks to the work of Professor Ricciardi in particular. And the culture of HTA grew in all regions in Italy, with some differences among regions. But now I think that Italy is a country where the concept of HTA is spread, is understood, and also is used not only by local governments or central government, but also by hospitals and by companies. And I think that principally after the World Congress in Rome two years ago, and after the big work held by the Italian Society for HTA, the concept now is a common concept. It is a concept introduced in the general culture of healthcare systems and the professional of healthcare system.
Can we discuss more specifically the health technology assessment framework in Lombardy? So what was the history and the current status?
Lombardy started many years ago to started many years ago. Sorry. Lombardy started many years ago with a HTA program, and over time this program was modified, improved, and I was one of the experts of HTA in a regional committee. And I had a very useful experience, and I think that Lombardy has now a very good system for HTA based on two different phases, assessment and appraisal. The assessment is performed by officers, and there is a small but very experienced group of officers who are preparing the procedure, and this procedure is then passed to the expert committee, and if the expert committee does a a positive answer about the request, this procedure, this drug technology, rehabilitation procedure, machine, and so on, is proposed to the local government to be introduced and also possibly reimbursed. If there is a negative answer, the procedure is complete. If there is an answer with some doubts or not so complete negative, not so complete positive, there is a second step with the participation of experts on the field. For example, for a medical device in orthopedics, there are some experts from orthopedic field who are in charge to evaluate specifically this device. And the model used by region is the UNETA core model with 6 items quantitative and 3 qualitative. The 3 qualitative are legal experts, ethical experts, and the patient evaluation. And I had a very, very useful experience because the evaluation is currently performed by different experts, pharmacists, health managers, engineers, public health experts. Then I think that it is a very good model for evaluation of HTA. Moreover, it is a transparent evaluation because all reports are published on the website. Then there are not possible deviations from the real procedure, and I am very confident with this model, and I think that this approach should be followed by some other organization which are starting an HTA evaluation.
Who typically initiates or requests technology assessment in Lombardy? Is it physicians or?
The request should be presented by physicians, by hospitals. Actually, until 2016, also companies could directly present a request. Later, only physicians and only hospitals, only healthcare personnel should do that. Mm-hmm. With a scientific presentation of the procedures. And I think that it is also, again, a good approach, because in this case, there is from the start of the procedure a real evaluation from the user of the procedure of the medical device and so on. The preparation of reports, or the first report by the evaluation of current literature, and obviously also from the documents prepared and supplied by company, by producer, is performed by region Lombardy officers, and I think that it is a correct approach, because there is presentation from hospital, there is the first evaluation and literature evaluation from officers. Then there is not a conflict between the presenter and the first evaluator. Then these two documents, these two series of documents are proposed to the experts, to the committee.
What are the typical timelines? So how long does it take to perform a health technology assessment from the start until the end?
There are different times. In general, some months are needed to have the complete pathway. Obviously, the pathway should be shortened, but there are many questions, and in this case, the use of reports performed in some other countries or in some other regions could facilitate this pathway, because until now different countries, different regions, different HTA agencies are always producing new reports, own reports, in some cases also in our region, some reports, for example, for robotics in surgery, some reports from Belgium or from other agencies, also Italian agencies, have been used for shortening these pathways. And I think that if there is an agreement or even a rule about that, these times elapsed from the request to the answer from local government agency or some other institution in charge of HTA could be shortened, and this is a real objective, a real aim of local and central governments, to have easy pathways and short times to have the reports and decision, or the proposal for decision to the politicians.
A typical concern for a health technology assessment framework is that there is no direct link between recommendation and implementation of this recommendation and real practice. So what are the specifics of this process in Lombardy? So, for example, how often these recommendations are followed at the implementation phase?
The final report is generally including also some limitations or even some criticism collected by literature, by experimental phase. Then the final report, in generally speaking, is including also the real world experience on the procedure. And I think that reports in the region Lombardy experience were complete with the real recommendation for the introduction of the procedure or technology. The language of reports in different agencies sometimes is different. And there are some long reports, there are some short reports, and also languages can be different because in some reports there are some long paragraphs, long statements which are not so clear. I prefer short reports with yes or not, because the answer from HTA is a real recommendation about the use of this a new or old technology. And then long statements with some with a language similar to a scientific publication is not the correct language for HTA report. HTA report ideally should be a short report with the real advantages of the technology, and also reporting the limitations or possibly also some problems, because technologies are not in general completely positive or completely negative. Then there are also some possible negative or not positive aspects. Then the language should be new for HTA. It is not only a scientific language. It is not a bureaucratic language. It should be a professional language to be used for professional.
Mm-hmm. So who are the recipients? So who received the report from the HTA? Is it the politicians or hospital management or physicians? So how these reports are distributed?
The distribution from agency is public, and I believe that it is correct, this approach. The culture about HTA is better into companies than in hospitals, because in general doctors and health professionals have not specific experiences on HTA, and also education in medical schools and in postgraduate schools is not in general focused on HTA. Only in public health postgraduate schools HTA was introduced, but pharmacists and engineers, clinical engineers are commonly prepared and educated on that. For example, the Congress, the Italian Congress on HTA is a very big Congress with hundreds and hundreds of participants, of attendants, and in the most of these attendants are engineers and pharmacists. But public health experts, public health doctors, hospital managers are now prepared and educated on HTA. And in this case, the approach of our central government and the local government did a good job on that. For example, to enhance the presence of HTA evaluation, official evaluation into the hospitals. And then this approach really enhanced the presence of this concept in hospital management, in doctors, and also scientific associations, medical scientific associations did a good job on that, because many congresses in these recent years had as a topic in different fields, public health, diagnostic medicine, or clinical medicine, different congresses had a topic on HTA.
Mm-hmm. How these reports are used by hospital managers or politicians in Lombardy? So is there any direct link? For example, report is produced, it is sent to them or back to the hospital. So how does this work?
The final report after the HTA evaluation is published. Then it is a public report, and this report is also sent internally to the decision-making committee. Then this way is complete internally. But it is important to outline that this document is also public. Then the proposant, the company, the producer, the user, the producer are informed about the results, the data of evaluation.
Mm-hmm. So can we discuss HTA concept in other regions as well? So are there differences in Italy between regions in adoption of the concept?
There are differences among regions, but there are many regions which are commonly working on HTA, and I had the good experience to prepare in association, in collaboration with our Istituto Superiore di Sanità, a research program which was presented to Ministry of Health on HTA, and this program is a special program, research program of Ministry of Health with the cooperation between Ministry of Health and the regions. And we proposed HTA evaluation as a topic, and I was happy to see that 6 different regions supported this program. There are traditionally some regions as Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna, Veneto, Toscana, but now also Puglia, Lazio, Trento are working with HTA models, and they are proposing HTA for their local health units and their hospitals. Then I believe that these regions are really working on this concept with a good cooperation with the Ministry of Health.
Not so long ago, a new legislation was introduced, also presenting Cabina di Regina for HTA. So could you please elaborate on the role of this committee and the potential future framework for HTA?
This committee is working on medical devices, and there are two different agencies working on HTA in central government. The first is in Ministry of Health, and the second one is in the AGENAS, which is our central agency for evaluating regional health system. And in the case of Ministry of Health committees, they are built in cooperation with regions and with some university, with the big experts of HTA. Then it is a good experience. I don't know what is the levels now of cooperation between Ministry of Health and different local HTA committee. In addition, the evaluation of drugs is performed by the specific agency named IFA, which is in charge of the evaluation of introduction of a new drug, and also about the possible reimbursement from national health system. And then there is a separation between drugs and medical devices. In general, also in some other European countries, there is this separation. In some countries, there is not separation. In Italy, it is traditional, this separation. Probably the new rule, European rule about medical devices could aid to have a common procedure among Ministry of Health, IFA and regions, because the different steps of evaluation of effectiveness, safety, organizational impact, economical impact are now the same. Until now, there were differences between drugs and medical devices because, for example, the introduction and the reimbursement of medical devices was different from the pathways used for drugs.
So probably the final question, how do you see the future of decision making and health technology assessment in Italy at regional and national level?
I believe that the use of HTA, the use of registries, now we have a law for introducing registries, as happens in some other countries, particularly in Nordic countries. HTA registries common European model and rule could finally enhance a common procedure which can be used by different regions and by different hospitals and healthcare systems. Then I think that we should only have easier procedures because the concept now is present in scientific association, in hospitals, in public health managers, in clinical engineers, in pharmacists association. Then the concept is now present. We should have a common way and an easy way to use this concept in different at different levels, a macro level by Ministry of Health, meso level in local health units, and also a micro level in our hospitals. We have in our hospitals, we are using this concept. For example, we are starting with an evaluation of robotic surgery in orthopedics using HTA with the approach used by our region and in cooperation with our region, because it is important to remark that our region is requesting HTA reports from hospitals. A minimum data set should be done by different hospitals. And there are some hospitals with a big work on that, public hospitals, which are really working on HTA with a special office, with a specific personnel in charge of that. But the request for all hospitals by region is really enhancing the use of HTA, the spread of the concept, and also to introduce education of HTA. Our university, particularly economical and engineering university, are commonly performing educational programs, masters on HTA. Companies are supporting these educational programs for their personnel, but also hospitals, hospital personnel is using these education programs. Then I am positive for the future of HTA in our region and in general in Italy.
Thank you very much, Professor Banfi. That was a very insightful interview.
Thank you.